Hi, and welcome to the Pet Healer Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Mitzi Vargas, and today we are talking about March. March is Poison Prevention Control Month. And so the ASPCA usually has a line that is very famous. It's the poison control line. And I'm just going to say the number because if you're listening to this and you don't know about it, if you ever have a problem with your pet ingesting something that is toxic, definitely the poison control line is 24/7 and it's 1-888-426-4435. Again, 888-426-4435. I've definitely been using them for years when we encounter a human prescription that we do not know about, because Google is sometimes not reliable. And of course, we want to know treatment. So for us as veterinarians, we contact the poison control when we need something quick and we need to know treatment. What is the indicated treatment? Because the worst thing you could do is to do the wrong treatment for the poison. Let's say a very classic example, if your pet eats something that is caustic and you try to give them hydrogen peroxide to throw up, then hydrogen peroxide is caustic too, and throwing up will further irritate that mucosa. So that would not be a good thing to do. You would actually exacerbate the problem and you can really hurt your pet. So it's very important to know when it's appropriate to stimulate vomiting, induce vomiting, when it's appropriate to use activated charcoal, when it's appropriate to just do monitoring or to immediately head to the veterinarian so that they can put an IV line and start flushing out that toxin. So that's why they do a wonderful job, and we're so grateful that there is such thing as a pet poison control line. And there are multiple other businesses that claim that they can give you some poison control, but I tend to use the SPCA because they have it. They were the first in there that came up with it, and they have so many years and a compilation of so many cases. They actually keep track of the cases, and it becomes part of the database. So just so that you know, for last year, the top 5, we're going to discuss the top 5 poisons that, reasons why people call the poison control. The reason is because I want us to be aware of the problems or possible consequences of these things, and maybe to see how's a way to avoid, falling into these situations. So the first one is over-the-counter medications. That's the number one cause for pet poisons in the United States. And more than 41,000 cases were called in last year. Can you imagine that? And this includes vitamins. I mean, did you know that iron, definitely is an element that we all need in our diets and our dogs too. But in excess, it could be fatal to your pets. And anything in excess, really, you could have any toxicity, especially vitamins or medications that are fat soluble. They stay in the fat, so they are cumulative, so they're very hard to get rid of. And so there are multiple things over the counter. For example, like say Zyrtec. You could give Zyrtec to your dog. Sure, it may or may not work, but at least it won't harm them. But if you give them the Zyrtec that has the decongestant, Zyrtec D or Tavis D or anything that says D, you could hurt your pet. They are some decongestants where the dogs and the cats do not have any enzymes to break them down, and they are poisonous. They build up. So there are a lot of over-the-counter supplements that appear to be harmless, but they are not. Then the second one is the human prescriptions. And that is where I get a lot of concern, because some of the human prescriptions are lethal in, the dosages that we take are probably, for example, let's say one meloxicam. So I had somebody that had a 5-pound Chihuahua and wanted me to give them a prescription for meloxicam because they take meloxicam. It's not that expensive, and they have, I think it was like 300 milligram. Well, your pet gets so little, gets like 5 milligrams. How can I break a pill in, I don't even know how many, but, divided by 5, is a lot. I can't even give you an estimate. It's like scrape the pill and give them the scrapes of a pill. So you can really accurately dose, get a dose very accurately using the human medication. That's why there are veterinary products. Is if it's a product that works in dogs too, and most of these prescriptions have been researched in the lab animal setting, and so they could, dogs, unfortunately, beagles are using lab animals, so they might have already the dosages that are appropriate for dogs. And so that's how some of the medications that are developed for humans also end up being developed in the veterinary sector at a lower dose, way lower dose, for use, in our pets. So it's not that I don't want to give prescription, my friends, is that sometimes you don't have an equal for your pets, and it will be safer to just use the veterinary approved medication. And so human prescriptions, people leaving the all their bottles of medications right next to their bed. Some people, because it's easier for them to remember to wake up or go to sleep and take the pill, they put them right next to the bedside table. Well, that is a perfect place for your dog that is bored or curious or is just a chow hound to just go in there and say, hey, this is human, this is new, this is a great toy, this is a great chewy, and chew them up. And they can chew the whole bottle and swallow the whole bottle. So that's another problem. But they have done that. I have seen that and done that. So that's what I'm saying, guys. But more than 36,000 pets fell last year to prescription medications. Opioids is horrible. We have a lot of opioids, a lot of, CBD. Now that the CBD or the marijuana is prescribed for medical reasons, we get a lot of dogs that come in with marijuana intoxication. And it is prescribed, but it is left unsupervised or left at the where the pet is able to get into it. Do not underestimate the curiosity of your dogs or cats. Do not underestimate how persistent they could be if they see you taking something. They're watching you all the time. They see you taking that pill or taking that chewy or taking whatever it is you're taking, and they want it too because you're everything for them. You're the best hunter or huntress in the universe. You bring food home every day at all times. So they want to know what you're eating. They want to eat it too. So be careful with your prescription medication. The next one is food. And I've talked about in many episodes, when the holidays come, food is one of the top issues that causes pancreatitis, that can cause poisoning. One of the things is xylitol. So we just went through Valentine's, and we're coming up to Easter in March. And what do you give in Easter? Chocolate. You give all sorts of foods. Well, the third one is food. The fourth one is chocolate. So we'll tackle these two together. But in the food, I would say for the candy that is gonna be in Easter, you have to be watchful that it does not contain xylitol. Xylitol is super poisonous, lethal even to dogs and to cats. And it is in a lot of candy, especially the ones that say sugar-free or less sugar or whatever. So no sugar. Well, look in there. It's probably going to have xylitol, which is an artificially sweetener. And for us, it doesn't do anything, or so they claim. But for dogs, it's poisonous. And I have had several cases of that, and it's not great. I mean, they get into your purse. Be careful with the chewing gum you have in your purse, because this is a real case that happened. Chewing gum in the purse. The lady comes home, leaves the purse in the sofa. The dog goes into the purse, gets the chewing gum, eats the whole chewing gum. That's pets vomit, very smelly chewing gum smell, smelling vomit. and they were treated at our hospital and they recover by the miracle of God. But definitely is not something you want to. It's a very scary situation. And chocolate, at least I think people have more awareness, but you would think that there will be less cases. But last year, there were 21,000 cases of chocolate, specifically poisonings, and more than 24,000 of food poisonings, which is table scraps and things that we're eating. And then the chocolate, basically, we know that it is toxic, that it depends on the how dark the chocolate is, how much real chocolate cacao is in there, because the theobromine is what's the active ingredient. And if it's a milk chocolate or the chocolate is a low percentage, then it's mostly sugar and nothing will happen. But if it's the darker the chocolate, the more dense it is, the more amount your pet eats, then the danger is real. So definitely take all these Easter chocolate baskets and everything away from your pets. Make sure they cannot reach it. And lastly, veterinary products. So a lot of people complain that, for example, Simparica or other new flea and tick products may be causing some reactions. And these reactions could be mild, could be irritation, could be itchiness, could be vomiting, could be diarrhea. But if your pet is reacting to one of those either flea products or even antibiotics that were prescribed by your veterinarian or any kind of veterinary approved product, then not only should you call the pet poison prevention line, but also your veterinarian, so you can have that as in the mark, as an alert in their files, so that product could be avoided. And some products are all in the same category, so it could be that if is allergic to that flea medication, may not be able to take any other that have a similar compound. So it's very important, if your pet has any kind of reaction that you think that might be related to the administration of a veterinary product, that you contact your veterinarian, that you contact the pet poison line, and that we can come to an agreement to see, okay, well, this does not agree with my pet, because the body doesn't lie. The body will, find, how bad things are for your body, and it's so individual and customized, because dogs and cats are not, they're not cookies. They're individuals, and they all are different. So it's really hard to make a big, generalization when they are so individual. Now, the funny thing is this list didn't include fertilizers or rat poison or any of the other, things like when they, carb products or anything like that. And so the funny thing is, in the past, rat poison was always in the top 3. But I think that people are more aware, people are more conscientious about that. So I think that because every year we were telling people, do not put rat poison around, because your pets will find it and they will eat it, or they will eat the diseased rats and they will be sick. So I think people are taking more care when they put fertilizers, that they are marked areas, that they are separate, that they allow it to dry before they let any dogs get in there. So there's a lot of awareness, and I really am very positive that if we continue to bring the awareness about the human prescription and the OTC medications, how to put it away from your pets, we're going to make some effort to decrease these numbers, because it's horrible. This is 100,000 animals last year that call the poison control, over 100,000, and it doesn't need to be that way, because we are our pets' keepers. So we need to take responsibility. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you repent and go put all your stuff away from your pets, and please hit the notification button, tell and share with your friends, because our podcast is out there to bring the light into the darkness that it is the pet ownership world sometimes. Thank you, and have a great time.